Hey psychopharmacologists, not you with the opposable thumbs. This video is only for my rat audience, quite honestly. So if you are not a rat involved in psychopharmacology, this video is not for you. I hope y'all have a great day. Yeah, that's right, we're filming nocturnally. I want this to make sense to you rodents. Do you rats know how good you actually have it? With your 4 walls and regular meals and sippy cup water bottles? I want to get to have a sippy cup, but for some reason it's not acceptable at my age. And if that wasn't enough, you also get free drugs. Once when I was 15, I paid $45 for an eighth of oregano in a bathroom from a guy named Molly Marsh. All right, like, where's the equality? And that's really the point that I'm trying to make tonight, all right, is that you have it so good. I just want to acknowledge how we got here, all right? Let's go through a little history lesson so that you understand how much has gone into you living the cushy lives you live. Because let's be honest here, me and you with each other, let's be honest here. You've been mooching for a really, really long time. You're literally a scavenger, bro. Like, that's what you mooch. That's probably why, like, or at least part of why, until like the mid 1960s-ish, you guys had like no rights. And not just you, I mean like all animals, you know, like this was the time when they were cutting dogs in half to see if they could get the gestational fluid and turn it into some stomach medication. So if you think they cared about a rat like you when they were doing that to dogs, literal rat brain. I just don't even know how these conversations went. Like, oh, you want to pick up Pepper? Oh, man, I'm sorry. We put an experimental pacemaker on her, and then we cremated her corpse. 15-cent copay. And again, that's dogs. They matter way more than you. You think I'm joking when I say how nice we treat you? Look what we do to other people. Albert Hofmann first invented LSD in 1936, but he left it on a shelf because he thought it was poisonous, and he didn't actually see what it did until 1943. We still don't fully know how it works, really, but we know that it binds to the serotonin receptors all along the surface of the brain, specifically the 5-HT2AR. Hoffman obviously didn't know any of that when he was, inventing it and just trying it out. According to Hoffman, there was only one way to find out how this drug worked: self-experimentation. Here are a few of his notes from the first experimental trial. I was only able to write the last words with great effort. I had to struggle to speak intelligibly. In spite of my delirious, bewildered condition, I had brief periods of clear and effective thinking, and chose milk as a non-specific antidote for poisoning. The lady next door, whom I scarcely recognized, brought me milk. In the course of the evening, I drank more than 2 liters. She was no longer Mrs. R, but rather a malevolent, insidious witch with a colored mask. Even worse than these demonic transformations of the outer world were the alterations that I perceived in myself and my inner being. A demon had invaded me, had taken possession of my body, mind, and soul. I jumped up and screamed, trying to free myself from him, but then sank down again and lay helpless on the sofa. Just some passages that I liked. I think it actually makes a lot of sense that he chose milk as an antidote, considering that it's pretty basic and he just had some acid. At this time, there were no limits as to what you could do in the name of silence, which is where we enter James Ketchum, who is not a childlike, wonderful collector of rare animals, but instead is a torturous psychopath who destroyed hundreds, thousands of soldiers' minds throughout the 60s, demolishing their psyches entirely by drug experimentation. And these guys were so good at justifying themselves. In a 2012 profile, not an interview, profile of Krauss, he said, "We were in a very tense confrontation with the Soviet Union, and there was information that was sometimes accurate, sometimes inaccurate, that they were procuring a large amounts of LSD,
possibly for use in a military situation.
Additionally, in his memoir, he would write,
I was working on a noble cause. The purpose of this research was to find something that would be an alternative to bombs and bullets.
so, rats, understanding that, do you understand that we could be injecting you with bombs and bullets? No, we give you a little ouchie in the hip, and even then, that gives you credence in your mind to turn around and bite my hand, asshole. Because I'm giving you half of a Starbucks double shot espresso for free? Ungrateful. In the modern times, the Institutional Animal Care and Use Committee keeps you rodents the protected class. This is Biden's America. Founded in 1985 as an amendment to the Animal Welfare Act, which is also very important but a little less psychologically focused, so we're gonna... The goal of the IACUC is to make sure that people like Kraus don't get to do what they did to plenty of people to you rats. Each panel on the IACUC must have at least 5 people, 4 of whom must be a veterinarian, an animal researcher, an institutional chairperson, like whoever's just the head of whatever IACUC it is, and a researcher with animal experience. They all meet and review studies that the institution puts forward saying, hey, we need these drugs, please, could we have them? And then the IACUC is like, yeah, you can put those in animals, or no, you can't put those in animals. This is where the government decide whether or not they're gonna give you money to throw rats into a bucket of water. And hey, look, you can't blame us for having fun with it. After that bubonic prank you pulled, we gave a statue to mice. They're like you, but more palatable, and people like them more. So you could feel represented by that if you were different. So I just hope that you rodents are aware of how kindly we treat you. And I understand that we are ignoring one huge question here, right? The question of inherent life value. Why is it that my life is worth more than yours? That it's okay that, you know, that I am able to do this to you. You obviously can't do this to me. But also I couldn't do this to another person. So why is it that a person's life is worth inherently more than yours as a rat? The answer is that we are